Shalom. Giving all praises to Yahweh Bashem, Al-Shai Bashem, Rakakwadash, Shalom to the 144,000. And the rest of the elect out there, Shalom to you all. And I'm going to entitle this video, I asked the chat, what does Zechariah 14 and 12 mean? So I'm just going to go ahead and read it. Zechariah 14 and 12 is a vivid and dramatic verse from the Old Testament describing a divine judgment. By the way, Zechariah is a prophet, so anything he says is prophetical, is something that's going to happen in the future, near future, or this time that we're living in. It has to be talking about this time. Even chat says that. Zechariah 14 and 12. And I may even go in the NLT, KJV. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people, the nations that have fought against Jerusalem. Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. It's obviously talking about the Israelites in the latter days, in our time. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. Now, you know what I'm going to do? Let me do this. Let me go to the NLT. I'm going to make this short. So you got these Christians arguing whether the Father and the Son is one, or, oh, the Lord came for the Gentiles too. There's a thing called supersessionism or replacement theology. We don't know the color of the Lord, the Heavenly Father, and the Son. So they're arguing. This is why we don't argue with any other group. Now we're lecturing. We're giving you the facts. If you got a problem with it, you want to debate. We don't debate, because that's a waste of time and it's going nowhere, and you're not a believer anyway. Our job is to push this truth out to the elect out there, and the elect could look like anybody. So when you have certain Christians, even among our people, mainly our people, that, oh, we don't want to hear it no more, y'all got to stop. Well, that's Ezekiel chapter 3, and I may even get into that in the NLT, because we know it. You can kind of recite it in your mind in the King James, but it's slightly different in the NLT. It says, the people will become like walking corpses, their flesh rotting away, their eyes will rot in their sockets, and their tongues will rot in their mouth. There's a classic scene in the Terminator series. I think it's Terminator, the second Terminator, because that was a series of Terminator movies, where Sarah Connor was at a park, and it was fenced off, and there were kids playing, grown-ups happy, and she saw the besom of destruction coming, or that great wind in Jeremiah, and she was trying to warn the people, and they couldn't hear her. She was like in another dimension. Actually, it was a vision. It was a dream that she had. And the next scene, there was a sweeping wind, hot wind, that destroyed the little children, grown-ups, old people, and finally that wind hit her, and you can see the flesh melting off of her, and the skeleton standing there holding the fence. So when what's this guy, Cameron, whatever his name is, his last name is Cameron, he's a director, and I guess he's a producer of that movie, that series. and he showed a vivid vision of what nuclear ICBMs could actually do, because you have the initial blast, and then you have the fallout, which is that hot wind in the book of Jeremiah. I may even go into that too. We all know this for you newer brothers that doubt. Like you got Christians, they're going to doubt, oh, they ain't talking about ICBMs. First of all, you don't know the scriptures. You Christians, you fail at understanding the prophecies. So let me read on. I'm sorry. This is what I wanted. I don't have to read on. So it pretty much says the same thing in the NLT. So you know what I want to do real quick is Ezekiel 3 in the NLT. Because our job is not to argue back and forth with an Israelite or with a person of another nation. You just tell them what it is, and it's not open to discussion. The voice said to me in NLT, Ezekiel 3, Son of man, eat what I am giving you. Eat this scroll. Now, when you was a kid, you didn't like to eat the string beans or the spinach, and your mother said, clean the plate, eat everything, or you don't get up, you can't go out and play. That happened to me many times. And if you got a dog, you be giving your dog under the table the stuff that you don't want, and then you'll show it, I got a clean plate. So when the Most High is saying, eat everything on that plate, which is the scriptures, meaning I digest everything in the Bible so you can know how to answer people pursuant to the scriptures, which Christians do not do. They'll go off in their emotions about something. They're not deep at all. These Christians are not deep at all. Like I said, challenge them on prophecy. Go to Daniel 2, very simple breakdown, and go to where it speaks about the feet of it, and ask them. They're gonna go off. If they're studied, and you go into Daniel 2 from the first verse on down, when it's interpreted by the angel to Daniel, and it speaks about the head of gold. They might say the Babylonians, or the lion that stood up on his feet with eagle's wings. They might say, if they're well studied, which most of them aren't, they'll say it's the Babylonians, the Persians, the Medes, the Greeks, and the Romans. But they won't say it's talking about NATO and the EU. Or they might say it's talking about the Antichrist. They will not engage. Vocab doesn't understand the prophecies. He's lost when it comes to the prophecies. He'll just make something up. God logic is lost when it comes to the prophecies. That's why when if you do deal with Christians, you say, okay, so the Most High is dealing with you. You got the Holy Spirit. Remember what I told you? Acts 19 and 2. Actually, you can start at the first and second verse. Paul asks, did you receive the Holy Spirit since you believed? So the Holy Spirit is a comforter. So make them understand that. John 14 and John 16, it speaks about the comforter. It says the comforter will teach you all things. So if you said you had got the Holy Spirit, then you shouldn't have to question. You shouldn't have to say, well, I don't know this part of the Bible. You got to know the whole Bible. So the same thing goes with Ezekiel. He said, eat the whole roll. When you eat the whole roll, that means you fully understand what the scriptures are talking about. Like, for example, ironically, I'm speaking about Bishop Nate. I saw him in a dream. I believe I saw him and his wife. He was out there somewhere, and I saw him, and he had a big smile on his face, and he came and hugged me. So I don't know what that dream meant. Maybe he's ultimately one of the elect. If he's one of the elect, he's going to come out of her. And so it was a weird dream, but it was, you know how you have this dream right before you wake up? Then I woke up. So, if he's one of the elect, he's gonna denounce everything false thing that he taught. So this scroll is talking about the scriptures, the Old Testament, the law, the prophecies, the writings, and the New Testament, and the prophecies. I mentioned the prophecies. So when you have somebody that says, oh, hell is an actual place that when you die, your spirit burns in this place called hell forever, which clearly anybody's teaching that did not eat the whole roll. Or they're like old wine bottle. When something new is like the mark of the micro C hip, the mark of the beast is something new given to them. That's why they can't accept it, because it wasn't taught to them by the seven. And the seven went off on certain things. Great men are not always wise. David said, I have become wiser than my teachers. So we know more than our teachers. If any of our teachers get back with us, we're going to have to bring them up to par. Especially when it comes to the MOTB. We have to tell Ariel that MOTB is a micro C hip, which I asked him back in the 80s, mid 80s. I said, because back then, for you niggas out there talking about, I got that from Alex Jones. I knew about the mark of the beast being something that they're going to physically put in your hand. Back then, they didn't have the chip size of a grain of rice. But I knew that there was something physical that they were going to put in your hand. I knew that when I was 12 years old. So I asked, pulled High Priest Zechariah to the side, and I said, is this, because they taught it one way. They said, that means if you take in your hand, that means you're ready to fight for this man. If you take in your head, that means you're with this man. And that's how they used to teach it. So I pulled him to the side, like I said, and I asked him, could it mean a physical thing being, put in your right hand on the forehead? And he said, yes, but they're not going to have time to do it, which makes absolutely no sense. Because why would the Most High tell you of a prophecy that's going to take place, but it doesn't come to pass because Esau doesn't have enough time? Then that makes the Most High a liar. Romans chapter 3. It says, so I opened my mouth and he fed me the scroll. This is why we say we got 100% truth. And people get mad and, hey, nobody got 100%. The Most High is going to, I have not shunned to declare unto you the whole counsel of the Most High. That's what the Apostle Paul said. He said, I will give you the Comforter, which will teach you all things. You have an unction from the Holy One, and you know all things. 1 John, the 2nd chapter. I believe that's the 20th verse. And you can read a couple of verses now, down. Because it says, we don't need teachers. After you learn, the seven taught us a lot of things, but there's a lot of things that we teach that the seven never taught us. Like, for example, like I said, the mark of the beast. Oh, if you in the right hand, that means you're ready to fight for this man. Doesn't mean that. Does not mean that. It said, fill your stomach with this. Let me read this again. The voice said to me, Son of man, eat what I am giving you. Eat this roll, eat this book, which represent the Old Testament and the New Testament. And the Apocrypha, the original King James had the Apocrypha in it, part of the King James, and go and give its message to the people of Israel. Oh, well, that was talking about then. Well, why is it still in the scriptures? This applies to right now. So I opened my mouth, and he fed me the scroll. John was also given the little book, and he was told to eat it. Fill your stomach with this, Get the full understanding with it. You got a lot of guys, just Israelites, just teaching whatever the hell they want to, and getting emotional on certain things, like the grape doctrine. A lot of guys, they'll go, let's go to the Greek and let's go to the Hebrew and let's look this word up and let's put our scholarly like Hakar and Hassad. They believe that they ain't real scholars. They're fake scholars because they can't get over the hurdle of the grape doctrine. But why do you bring it up, Tar? You keep bringing up, you starting trouble. Nope. I'm bringing up truth. Because you can't tell me that you deal with the whole book. You don't have, emotions are not involved with when you deal with the whole book. Until that subject come up, then you got emotions. Your guys got emotions. You didn't want to see it. All of a sudden, you don't know the Hebrew. All of a sudden, you became a Christian. I said, fill your stomach with this, meaning you got to accept everything, bad or good. Even John, on the Isle of Patmos, Revelation chapter 10, he ate it. He said it was sweet in my mouth and it was bitter in my belly. Because when you're excited when you come into this truth, but then there's a time where it ain't sexy no more, and that's when guys leave. And the guys that left, or even the women that left, they left because they were never part of this in the first place. Let's go back to 1 John chapter 2, verse 19. That's why so many guys came in. And these guys that came in were diligent. They broke out scriptures, and something offended them. Like one guy recently, about a year and a half ago, he'd been in the camp for years. And then he one day he never showed up, and then they told me, oh, this brother, he said he ain't with this no more. He ain't with the grape thing. But he been with the camp when the grape thing first, when he been in this thing for years. So why did he wait all these years to say, oh, I'm leaving because I'm not with the grape thing? I said, fill your stomach with this, he said. And when I ate it, it tasted as sweet as honey in my mouth. So John said it tasted sweet in my mouth and bitter in my belly. Then he said, Son of man, go to the people of Israel and give them my messages. This is what talking about now. How do we know that? Because Ezekiel was told to carry around the 12 tribe sign. When did Ezekiel ever do that? That applies to us. When we read these, the things are written aforetime is for our learning today, that we through comfort of the scriptures might have hope. That's Romans 15:4, I believe, 15:5. It says the same thing Habakkuk 2. Give this message to a runner and have him run with it, to give the correct message. So you saying like GOCC Edomites can make it in the kingdom, they can marry him? No. Oh, he also teaches that there's a hell. He teaches that there's no reincarnation. He teaches that Edomites are not going to be destroyed. He's so far gone, we don't even watch his videos. He's like, that's a whole different category of Israelites, man. He's not going to make it for sure. I am not sending you to a foreign people whose language you cannot understand. No, I am sending you to people. I am not sending you to people with strange and difficult speech. If I did, they would listen. Yeah, the other nation would accept it. Oh, I get to be an Israelite? But the people of Israel won't listen to you any more than they listen to me. For the whole lot of them are hard-hearted and stubborn. So, like I said, we do not discuss, we do not debate. We don't want to see you if you're a Christian. We don't want to see you if you're a Christian. Keep walking. We don't want to know. But if you roll up, we're going to see. Well, what are you? What are you here for? What are you? If he said he's a Christian, I said no. We're not talking to Christians. We don't give a damn. You can listen, and you can ask questions in relation to what we're teaching. Sincere questions, we'll deal with you. But other than that, we're not going to have a debate with you. We don't. You're nobodies. You're nobodies. Vocabularies are nobody. So now let me come back over here. I'm sorry. It says summary and context. Now I was surprised to hear this in the literal interpretation. It said this verse comes from a prophetic chapter. I didn't read this part, describing the day of Yahweh. And we know the day of Yahweh is going to be by these ICBM missiles, and it's going to destroy the whole land, as we've been saying, and all the videos that we do. And this land, the whole land, as in Isaiah 13, is talking about Babylon, and it's talking about the Levant. The Levant's going to be jacked up too because of all these armies from around the world coming to the Levant. Something major is going to happen in the Middle East, that they're going to all these different modern military, they're going to all send their soldiers down there. They're men. You got a lot of our sisters and a lot of men of our people that's going to go down there. But guess what? Fuck them. They'll become a part of that soil. So somebody in the military, you don't got to talk. Let's look, brother, I don't even talk to you. You in the military. You're already done. So now what I heard is that I don't know if all of them are chipped or some of them are chipped. But when they chip everybody, they're going to do it by class, as I have said before. So they're going to say everybody in the military. They showed you that with the jump shot. Remember they made a big thing about the military? And you had certain individual in the military that says, no, I'm give me a dishonorable discharge. I'm not with this no more. You had police officers that's no, I ain't with this. I ain't getting that. Then you had certain generals curse them out, and they were like, no, I still ain't getting it. I said I was gonna make a career out of this. I'm not getting that. They know through the spirit. So the same thing's gonna happen when they push the MOTB. It's going to be done by classes. If you want to be in the Army, you got to get the chip. If you want to be in the Navy, you got to get the chip. If you want to be a nurse in any hospital in America or around the world, you got to get that chip. A doctor, you got it rich and poor, right? Free and bond. You in the prison system, you got to get that chip. And it may say, oh, you got a 5-year sentence. You did 3 years. You take the chip. We're gonna let you out. We're going to give you probation. What do you think Jake gonna say? Oh, give me where do I sign up? So there's gonna be a major shakeup when this prophecy comes to pass. And we're gonna be making videos on it. And guess what? YouTube, you're gonna have to use that code language. You're gonna have to speak code. Because YouTube, if you say MOTB, they're gonna say, well, MOT stands for marketed beast. You're gonna have to say C-chip, you might have to say that. C-hip, not C-chip. Micro C-hip. You might have to change that. So we're going to have to speak in code. And if they believe that you're talking about the micro C-hip, they're going to cut your video down. They might cut your page down. They might cut your page off. But let's say they do. Well, it's been out there. We still I'm making one right now. I'm talking about I wasn't thinking about going to the chip. I'm talking to the chip right. I'm talking about the chip right now. And remember, you heard it first from the apostles of really, I'm the one that told the other apostles that the chip many years ago, and as soon as I said it, they said, yeah, it makes all the sense in the world. The ones of you in GMS that can't see it and you touting it, you should just leave. You should just leave. Just leave and don't tell us nothing. Just leave. And then some of y'all that know it's a chip and accept it, you're gonna take it anyway because you're gonna miss a couple of meals, or your wife is gonna sneak behind your back and take it. So you dudes that ain't of the elect, you're gonna even to the very end. If you ain't of the elect, you ain't gonna make it, bro. And you're gonna eventually take that chip. This verse comes from a prophetic chapter describing the day of Yahweh. It speaks of it as being a gloomy day, a future time of divine intervention. And these missiles are spiritual. Do you know they have guiding system in them? In them, that's technology. That's miracles. You got modern missiles that if a fighter jet tries to escape, the missile locks in, and when the fighter jet makes a maneuver, the missile makes a maneuver with it. That's spiritual. That's their miracle, their technology. Zechariah 14 speaks of the Most High defending Jerusalem or the Israelites and judging the nations that oppose it, not the land, but the people. Verse 12 specifically describes a supernatural plague that strikes these enemies, these nations. Where's the list? What nation are you talking about? Psalms 83. Who's number one on the list? Esau. Who's number two? Ishmael. A terrifying image of flesh decaying instantly while the people are still standing. So Zechariah 14:12 is the only place that says that. It says interpretations. Different traditions interpret this imagery in various ways. Literal interpretation. Now listen to this good. Some view this as a literal plague or divine punishment, possibly akin to what? Radiation. I didn't know they were going to say this. Or chemical warfare. The radiation comes from when the ICBM hits what do you call it? Ground zero. It spreads. That's what the hot wind is all about. That's what the besom of the besom of destruction in Isaiah 14. It said in modern, if you look up besom, it means a broom. So when you sweep a lot of dust, it kind of goes goes the direction that you sweep it. So the Most High is going to take a divine broom and he's going to sweep the radiation across Babylon the Great. And they showed you that in the movie, the Terminator series. I believe that was part 2. In modern speculative terms. Let me read that again. Because this is what it's talking about. This is exactly what it's talking about. Literal interpretation. Some view this as a literal plague of divine judgment. Remember, he's going to guide the missiles. It says he's going to be in the missiles. That's what is that? Ezekiel 38. He's going to be in the missiles. He said, I am a consuming fire. The Apostle Paul said that. Possibly akin to radiation or chemical warfare in modern speculative terms. It's radiation. What's going to make your skin? The initial blast, you're just going to be gone. You're just going to be gone. But when that hot wind, and you in the way of that hot wind, your flesh will consume away, and the only thing will be left is some dust. It says that in 2nd Ezra 13, or chemical warfare in modern speculative terms. Symbolic interpretation. Others see it symbolically representing the complete and utter defeat and corruption of those who oppress the Most High's purpose. Now, let me do this. Bear me for a minute. I'm going to go back to chat. I'm going to phrase this a different way. me a second. I believe that's a double S. Missiles. So let's see if they give me a different. Oh, this is even better. There's a better question. Is Zechariah 14:12 referring to ICBM missiles? Zechariah 14:12 is sometimes cited in speculative prophecy interpretations, especially in some modern apocalyptic or dispensationalist circle, as a possible description of nuclear warfare or weapons like ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles. Wow. So these devils know. However, from a scholarly and contextual perspective, this interpretation is not strongly supported, because this top Edomite scholars, they don't know prophecy. So if a guy, I'm a Christian scholar, go right into prophecy. Go right into prophecy. Go to Revelation 6. Who's the white horse? Go to Revelation 19. Go to Zechariah 14:12. Here's a verse, Zechariah 14:12, and this is in the ESV, so I'll read as such. I read in the KJV, and this shall be the plague with which Yahweh, we know that's Yahweh, will strike all the people that wage war against, it should be the Israelites. Their flesh will rot while they are still standing on their feet. Their eyes will rot in their sockets, and their tongue shall rot in their mouths. Here it is again. Let me do this. They mentioned ICBM missiles. They said some of them think that it could be ICBM missiles, which they're correct on that. Why some think it might refer to ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, the graphic imagery of flesh and eyes rotting while standing sounds to some like the effects of radiation or a nuclear blast. That's the vision that Sarah Connor saw in the movie The Terminator, I believe it was part 2. Some interpret the plague as metaphorical for a massive, sudden, and devastating force like modern warfare. Let me read that again. The graphic imagery, why some think it might refer to ICBM missiles. The graphic imagery of flesh and eyes rotting while standing sounds to some like the effects of radiation or a nuclear blast. Some interpret the plague as metaphorical for a massive, sudden, and devastating force like modern warfare. Because when they go into the armies go into the Great Levant, they're going to have a conventional warfare down there. Something is going to happen in that Levant that's going to cause all these modern militaries from around the world that have advanced weapons, and that is talking about their fighter jets. Russia's going, all of them are going to be there. All of them, and then guess what? The missiles are going to destroy all of them. So if you got cousins and uncles that's in the military, if you National Guard, which National Guard would stay domestic, they're going to send the National Guard out there. They're going to send the Navy out there. So and a lot of our sisters are in the military. So guess what? A lot of them are going to die. It says contextual and scholarly view. Genre, Zechariah is apocalyptic, which means another word for apocalypse is revelation. Literature, which often uses symbolic and highly figurative language. The plague is like a metaphorical or visionary expression of divine judgment, right? Because the Most High is coming with fire. Historical context: this was written around the 6th century BCE, before the Common Era, long before the concept of modern warfare exists. Right, because it's a prophecy. When Zechariah saw this we're talking almost 3,000 years ago. So what he saw was something to take place about 3,000 years in the future. I'm sorry. Let's say let's say 2,600 years ago, because this was during the time period of this was after King David. It was during the time of Babylonian Empire. During that time period, this was before the Greeks, the Medes, and the Persians came in. Theological focus: the passage is about the Most High's final judgment against nations opposing Israel. The number one nation are the Edomites, the small hats. These people that are over there in the land, they're going to get blasted in that. They're going to blast the hell out of them because they're trying to push out the people of Gaza. But some of them are Israelites and some of them are not. Not a technical description of future military technology, because they don't know. This is why we refuse to talk to them. We don't got to talk to none of them, because they don't know the scriptures. We're not going to have unless you want to have a 15-minute debate. Give me 50,000. Summary: no, Zechariah 14:12 is not literally referring to ICBM missiles. Yes, it is. That interpretation sketches the text beyond its historical and literal context. It's a future prophecy, dumbass. However, some modern interpreters use this passage to draw parallels or speculate about future events, and that's exactly what it is. That's why Zechariah was what? He was a prophet. He prophesied, including nuclear war as part of eschatological framework. And we went through that word, the study of the end of something. These interpretations are not mainstream in academic theology. In other words, your theological cemeteries, they don't deal with prophecy. You ain't gonna learn. You're not gonna learn prophecy. Just ask vocab. But are more common in popular prophecy teachings. What does it say about GMS? If you ask Chat GPT, what is the GMS known for? He said they're known for heavy emphasis on prophecies. Anyway, with that, I went a little long. Please forgive me. With that, I'm going to say shalom on to the next. We're getting close, y'all. Shalom.